Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to do a gameplay commentary here, just kind of walking through this Mists of Tirna Scythe on a 10. The plan here is just to walk through and basically what my thoughts are, why I'm doing certain things, and kind of tips and tricks. Hopefully help some of you guys and maybe help myself as well, based on any feedback. So first all is, this is a pug group, it is all random people, so everything's not going to be perfect, but it's kind of more of an authentic experience that way. On this pack right here, you want to try and come in and basically get your CC and your cap totems, your surging totem, get your AoE heals and everything set up, because they do hurt a lot. The further away you are, the more... I think it just prioritizes the furthest target away for the leaps as well, so you want to be very careful where you're standing, try and keep it stacked, especially for the root as well. There's an overgrowth that can go out on one of our players, so we just want to make sure we're managing that too. Thankfully, though, this paladin is absolutely blasting through, so just remember, have your surging totem down for the kind of AoE passive healing, dispel the tank whenever he gets whatever this is right here. So even just watching this bag right now, there's something I need to be a little bit faster on. Usually in the next pack with the AoEs, there's 2 stacks and it's like a clear signal to dispel, but on this one, you want to be a little more careful. Also, just a tip there, once it is dead, it does lay this kind of like fairy dust, I don't know what the word is for it, but basically you'll restore mana and HP the longer you stand in that. So just kind of hang back a little bit if you did burn a lot of mana there, making sure that you're prioritizing kicking the harvest casts here, and then generally just kind of keeping the team up here. There's nothing really crazy from this pack. A lot of the time you'll obviously see this pack get skipped. We didn't have a rogue or a monk or anything like that, a warlock to use the gate. So now you're just seeing the team getting incredibly low. So just throw out a link here. It's totally fine to use these as we go through different packs, especially as you get into higher keys as well. There's going to be an expectation that you're ascendancing, you're using link, healing tide totem, things like that as we go through as well. And basically kind of the mindset here is just keep everyone alive. That was panic moment right there. So what am I finishing up at, like 1.2 million HPS for that pack? And that's kind of going to be the story for a lot of these packs as we get through. Just prioritizing those interrupts, making sure we're using our cap totems, healing surge totem down, our surging totem down, and managing those downpours as well, making sure that we're basically getting pretty much the whole party in there. Downpour does give a nice 10% buff to everybody that gets hit by it, from 10% HP buff. So you're basically just giving everybody free health for a couple of seconds as well, just to help you catch up on healing. Throw those healing stream totems down. Make sure that you're just kind of on top of those. And one thing as well, just coming into this next pack, you want to try and make sure that your team is splitting damage across these two guys. The way that the AoE works is it's based on health percentage. So if you get them both down to 50% health at the exact same time, they're both going to do AoE. And if you don't have Spirit Link Totem or some kind of crazy cooldowns, you're going to die here as well. So this Bramble Burst comes out, everybody's getting a little bit of damage on them. A tip to do this as well is the second that you see Bramble Burst being cast, just start walking, because it's based on where you previously were a second ago. This Furious Trash gets triggered on one of the ads. Thankfully we have a slight differentiation. Somebody has targeted with the skull so that both of them aren't getting hit at the same time. But we're able to just kind of walk them around in a circle here. I throw healing tide totem down here, expecting the next Furious Thrash to come through, and as it comes through, just popping down my healing stream totems for those kind of free chain heals, making sure I'm using all my riptides, and then just a chain heal if I need to. But kind of as a Resto Shaman, you're generally prioritizing that healing surge, just those individuals, and then anybody else that kind of has a scary amount, you're just going to top them up with a riptide and you should be fine. Make sure every time you have an opportunity, just drink some water, make sure that you're full on mana all the time, so that you don't slow it down as we go through. And here is basically just pump mode, just make sure that you're pumping. On this dungeon I do roll with a Tremor Totem, and also with the Poison Cleansing Totem. The Fear one is explicitly just for this boss from a pug scenario. If we're a little bit nervous that we're going to have enough damage to, kill the boss and push the boss so that it doesn't do the fear. I don't know exactly what the triggers are for the fear coming out, but basically if you don't have enough DPS and the short dude over here, not the drone man, what's his name, Malak or whatever, as long as he's dead, or sorry, as long as if he stays alive for too long, he doesn't get pushed into this phase here where he's taking the extra damage. He'll throw out a fear, and that's a scary fear that can wipe the group. But especially in hierarchies, you are going to get the fear. You're probably just not going to have enough damage to be able to push through. So when we're talking kind of like 12s, 13s with a big damage buff, you have to expect the fear. So I just have that Tremor Totem waiting in my back pocket just in case. But the situation here right now, we're doing just fine. We pushed enough damage. He's at that kind of threshold where you make the call to stick on Malak rather than going on the Drogar. And yeah, from here, interrupts, DPS as much as possible is kind of the thing. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward boss. And he should be done now here shortly in a few seconds. The only thing I would say is that it does get a little more hectic when we're going through this key on some of the higher levels. So you do have to start thinking a little bit about like using the floor properly and stacking a little bit to have a bit more space, especially when you're expecting the fear to go out and you're not going to be able to, you know, get rid of it every single time. Using that space really helps. Now we start into the maze, which is kind of the most, you know, the longest period of this dungeon, and people get a little frustrated. A little tip here right off the bat is you can mark her, and you can basically get the first 2 doors for free here just by skipping. So you notice that we saw her go to the left there, and now we can see she's going to the right on the second one. So we get the first 2 there, and then the marker does fall off. She kind of despawns. But we do now know that we go left and then right into this next room. So we basically gotten the maze done for free for 2 of them. And then just generally, like, how does the maze work? I know some people get confused about this. It's basically which one is the odd one out. So when I say the odd one out, there's a couple of different factors. So one, is it colored in? Is it filled? Or is it empty? So you have 3 different things. You have the leaf, you have a full flower, and then you have a circle around them. So the odd one out, if let's say 3 out of 4 of them were filled in, they were colored in, and then there was one that wasn't colored in, well then the one that's not colored in will be the odd one out. Now the tricky part for people that they generally get confused here is that, okay, 3 of them are colored in, but maybe 2 of them have circles around them, so that kind of gets a little bit confusing. So it can either be one of them isn't filled in, one of them is filled in, and all the rest of them aren't filled in. One of them has a circle, and none of the other ones have circles on them. So as I'm going through here, we have a leaf that's not filled in, a leaf that is filled in, and then this one here is a flower with a circle, but it's not filled in. I don't recall the very first one, but it must have been some kind of leaf, so I pinged that indicating, hey, this is the one that's odd out. So I don't remember, just as I'm kind of live commentating over this, I don't remember if that was a leaf as we walked into the room, but I'm guessing it is if I've pinged that the flower is the odd one out here. So I'll probably, sometimes it does get stuck there. Just be confident in your decision if you made the right one. So we do see that it was an empty flower here. So we'll go through this again. Empty flower. And honestly, as a healer during these sections, depending on your tank, you can just throw a couple dots out, try and kick some of these, but you should be fine. I wonder, are we going to just figure this one afterwards? I think I went into healing mode here because the tank did start to take a little bit of damage. I was a little bit worried. So we do have leaf there filled with a circle. Flower not filled with a circle. And a flower not filled. So we have a leaf over there and the other 2 have been flowers. So this one is leaf filled. So I think it's the only one with a circle on it or something like that. I obviously remember which one it was in real time there, but it can be tricky. Even there, you heard me live, like, I'm not concentrating on anything else, I'm just watching a video, and it still is a little bit tricky. It gets much easier in the boss because you can see basically everything at the exact same time. One call out here on this mini boss is that depending on your tank, this poison can really, really hurt. So here's another opportunity to use the poison cleansing totem. I haven't dropped it here. I am just kind of healing with my tank. This warrior seems to be doing well, but now he has a lot of stacks, so I did just activate the poison cleansing totem. So now he dropped all of those stacks as well. So you can let them build up a couple of stacks here until you're comfortable that, or until you're at a point where you say, oh, okay, we need a little less healing going on here. Or sorry, they need a little bit too much healing, so I want to be able to cleanse that off as well. So, going through the mini boss here, just playing through the maze. Nothing kind of crazy. Try and do some DPS here, but Honestly, the healer DPS piece isn't as crucial as it has been in previous seasons. I think just kind of making sure that the team's topped, they have that passive healing from your surging totem. You know, making sure that you have your earth shields and stuff like that on the tank just to give them a little bit of extra healing. But honestly, at a level 10 at this stage in the expansion, everybody's pretty geared. It's pretty chill. As long as you have people who know what they're doing, you can get through this pretty quickly. So I am running around doing the maze here just to make sure that we don't get it wrong, but we are basically just at the last one before the boss. So this is basically, there's no real choice here. We're just right beside the boss door. So if we looked over there, we could see that this is the boss area. So it's always going to be into that one as well. They're never going to bring you right beside the boss door and then make you go kind of sideways. If you're beside the boss door, that'll be the correct exit. Now in a miscaller, a couple of things here that we want to be careful for. First is just the dodgeball, but then also the freeze tag that comes out is probably the one that can cause the most issues. So if you have things like DKs that are using a bomb limb, you gotta be very, very careful. Destro Warlocks are generally running Mayhem these days, so they'll accidentally get Havoc on it and, you know, break any CC and things like that. So you can't just, you know, freeze trap them with a Hunter or root them with a Druid. You kind of have to be a bit more willing to do it without CC, that kind of mindset, how we're going to run around. So in this scenario here, this was the only flower, everything else was a leaf. So we just ping it and get everybody on top of it. Unfortunately, the Hunter died to... what did the Hunter die to? Just a dodgeball as well. And then when we get into the AoE here as well, Healing Stream Totem is generally the first thing I throw down just immediately. It just kind of takes the stress off while you're trying to figure out which was correct. Now this stuff, that is crazy, by the way, that I just ate a dodgeball there. It just shows you that the difference from a 10 and anything higher. And then, honestly, depending on your gear as well, a 10 can just completely take you out there. And when we get to those dodgeballs as well, you don't have to be like super far away. Just look at the absolute tip of the arrow that gets spawned, and you should be able to dodge it pretty easily. It isn't that like critical, like especially if we're playing this from more of a ranged mindset as well. It's not as critical to be like right in between two of them. Just being even slightly to the side is fine. Make sure you're throwing down those pings as well. Pop Dissension here just to get those heals going. Top up the team. The Hunter is never going to be in our surging totem, so he's not getting that kind of rain of that healing rain, just passive healing as well. So just make sure that we're throwing Riptides and making sure our AoE heals are hitting him. This time we got a nice freeze trap, so we've been able to just kind of focus on the boss and really put down a little bit of DPS. 200k here, DPS is not particularly good. Honestly, if you're just a little bit better with your totemic projection. Now that one was a little BS, I feel. Like, I think I saw the ball coming at myself there when I'd moved left, but who knows. I should have just been a bit more proactive there. I just kind of greeted for the that lava burst, to be honest. Get that little bit extra damage out. It's not worth it. It's never worth it as a healer. You're too important to stay alive. And again, they just threw down the Spirit Link a second ago just to basically, the affix came out. We were still taking AoE damage. I know I'm not going to need this totem until potentially the big pull here coming up as we get down. So I know I have plenty of time to kind of let the cooldown recover. And yeah, another key point here as well is after you finish this boss, make sure that your team member who is able to open the little gate at the beginning, make sure that they also reset update the respawn point here. We'll see on the right hand side, I ping it out just to make sure. This Hunter is just taking damage, trying to jump down in one go. Throwing a Riptide, activate Spearwalker's Grace just to heal him while I'm moving, just to help speed up. And then prioritizing this Staghorn as well. I think everybody at this point knows this Staghorn. You need to not just kick this first regeneration or the shield. It's the regeneration is just as important as well. So if the shield gets through, he's going to shield everybody in the pack. And if the regeneration gets through, he's going to basically just recover pretty much all of his health as well. So one of the most important kicks in the whole dungeon. Here as well, just top everyone up. Make sure that you're able to, you know, keep everyone with the poison alive. I do have the poison cleansing totem ready here. So here we go. We're going to go into the big pull now. So the warrior just grabs the pack on the right, gets these people in front of us. And then I just kind of stand back here for a second, try and target that staghorn, just get it ready for my my interrupt. However, the paladin, I believe, just got absolutely one shot. The hunter somehow lives after taking that little knockback thing. So thankfully I've been able to just pop ascendance and then, you know, throw a couple of heals out. It actually hasn't been that bad from a healing intensive perspective. My Spirit Walker Grace is down right now because I used it just to kind of keep that the hunter topped up after he jumped off the top. But if I had it, that's something I'd definitely be popping right now. Making sure that you're, you know, just keeping everybody above 50% here is kind of the name of the game. And then obviously prioritizing people with the poisons on them too. This is the last staghorn here, coming up to the end. So just making sure that you're just keeping everybody top tier. It can be scary. We'll see these flyers come in right now. It can be scary when they come in. It does take a second for the tank to pick up aggro on them. So just blow your cooldowns. You'll see there that I popped the healing streak totem basically as we pulled into these as well. The second I saw that those flyers, just to try and keep some passive healing going. And that's the thing that I noticed with a lot of kind of newer players or people on lower keys, is just this hesitation to throw out their cooldowns. This link probably didn't need to happen. Probably could have brute forced it with some healing surges and chain heals and things like that. But we're just making it simplistic as well for the pull. Just making life easier for ourselves. And then also, when it is time to get to the boss, it'll probably be back up on cooldown. That's 3 minutes now. So when do I actually need Spirit Tide Totem or Spirit Link Totem? I probably need it during one of the phases where he's pumping out that AoE damage. That's probably when I'll need it. And that won't be until the boss is at like 75% or something like that. So I have plenty of time to be able to kind of recover that cooldown as we go through these different packs. If you really, really wanted to as well, you could say, hey, we need to go get percentage right now to let me get the cooldown back. So there's a couple things as well, and that's another tip as well, especially in Pogs. Like as a healer, try and be a little bit vocal if you need to. If you're playing a Resto Druid and you're constantly out of mana or something like that, you know, talk to your team, communicate, make sure that you're like doing what I'm doing right now, right? Running ahead of the pack so you can start to get your little bit of a drink going. So that by the time whether we're going up to the boss here, you know, now I'm at 90% mana, I'm good. I can just start to heal people up, dispel off some of these affixes. Basically, it's at the point right now where I don't have any more dispels, so it's just let the timer run out. That's perfect. Everybody has mana. Make sure we're rebuffed. We had a couple of deaths. And come in here on Lust. So right away, we want to pop down. You know, Surging Totem. I'm using Projection already to make sure that I'm on top of the tank. Probably should have held that a little bit longer. I don't know if I did it here, but throw your Earth Ellie out here as well. It's no harm. That extra damage can be huge. And then stacking on your tank. So now we have the consumption coming out. I do like using Healing Tide Totem, or yeah, I do like using Healing Tide Totem. I didn't use it here. I think that we had enough damage through the loss that I knew that the shield was going to break quite quickly. So I'm probably going to save that for the next one. And then just trying to make sure right here, this is a good example of just like learning while you're watching from your own gameplay. I did do what I was hoping. I totemic projection and popped off the downpour. But I don't think I hit the downpour very well. Tank does a great job here, running away. And that's a tip too as well, actually, especially if you're ranged or you're a healer that has range capabilities. You don't need a fist weave or, you know, cat weave, things like that. So right now I should drop immediately. There goes the Healing Tide Totem, which is great. Just to have passive kind of AoE heals going on. And popping those Healing Street Totems, getting your chain heals out. And yeah, as you can see, we're all 100%. It's pretty chill right there. I think the main thing about this is just like using the space correctly, stacking for the marked prey, making sure that all of the adds are coming in. You can even use a cap totem here, Thunderstorm, when they get a little bit closer. So you see I have a cap totem there. Everything's done behind the boss. I'm running out in advance of the link, try and make sure that we minimize the damage. And you'll see, I've seen parties wiped the link so many times, and it's just a lack of awareness. It's a lack of knowing that it's coming up. So it's obviously people that don't have weak auras or DBM yelling at them saying, hey, Link's coming in soon. So just being aware of all of that and basically taking care of yourself. We're the tank pinged over here saying he's coming over here. So I kind of put down this surging totem. The surging totem, just to kind of say, all right, you want to go over there. Here's the area that you're going to go to so you can get the heals. And also, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but we've kind of pulled the boss towards the next set of ads. 9 times out of 10, I think it's only happened to be like once or twice ever that I haven't had to come and clean up some ads after the last boss here. So we're on 95%. I think these guys are worth about 6 or 7%, so we should be fine there. The 2 small guys aren't worth that much, but the Staghorn does give you, I think, 2, almost 3%. So I think combined, this is pretty perfect. If not, we might need to get some flyers, which unfortunately, yeah, I put down Link just kind of like as a meme. I thought that we were done, but no. And this is actually a big mistake here. So I have gone and taken the flyers and the tank here, and I'm popping everything just to keep myself alive. Poison cleansing totem should hopefully come out now. Get that poison off my back. And now I'm basically just pushing every button I have. Riptide, Chain Heal, spamming. I should put down the Healing Stream totem, Healing Tide totem the second it came off cooldown. Basically just doing everything here right now because we just need to kill one of these ads. Probably should have like put an X or a skull on one of the ads here just to make sure that we, targeted it and got the percentage done much quicker. But yep, other than that, got everything done. I know it is a bit of a rambling video, and if anyone is still here, really appreciate you hanging in there, and hopefully it made sense. Would love any thoughts or feedback, but hopefully it makes sense. Just trying to like live think through my thought process, call out why I did different things. And yeah, thanks so much everyone for watching.